G'day guys, welcome to the Thunder from Down Under podcast. I'm your host Graham Solomon. Remember, if you're watching on Facebook, go and smash that like button, that heart button, give us some love, and go to the Graham Solomon Thunder from Down Under YouTube channel and belt that subscribe button off the wall. Hit the bell icon so that you can be notified when we go live like we are now. And we've got a special guest today that is along the theme of lead generation that we've been working on for the last couple of podcasts, and this one is a bit of a different angle, so I thought I would bring this special guest in. He is from REI Printmail, and his name is Nick Orf. Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem. So we thought we'd try a different angle, Nick. We would get you in on REI Printmail, which is obviously heavily angled towards direct mail. So what I will ask first, Nick, is how did you actually get into this business? How did you get into the real estate space, and where did it all start for you?
Okay, so it's actually an interesting story. I actually a long time ago I got into sales first, and I was applying for a maintenance job, to be honest, and I got bait and switched by Curvy Vacuums, and so they had me going door to door. And I never thought I'd be in sales. I was super shy growing up, and but I loved it, and I was actually really good at it. So I started taking sales positions thereon, and so I've worked for Andy Frisella and his companies, if you know who that is, with First Form and Supplement Superstores. They're a big company here, and also went into the extended warranty business, and then that's when I kind of started investing a little bit. I was doing pretty good for myself. I'd say I was making about six figures or so or more. And, but I was kind of capped, and it was just 7 days a week, 80 hours a week. I never saw my family. I got 4 kids. So I started investing at that point and kind of saw there was something else I could do with more interest. And REI Printmail came across, and I never wanted to be an agent. I never wanted to go down that path really. And then so when I was offered this position, they told me everything that was involved. I have a pretty good background with other companies, sending direct mail, and just it's always been effective for us. So when the offer came, I took it, and now I'm here working with real estate investors every day. So
yeah, so you've done the hard yards in the trenches. You were door knocking, you were doing all the tough stuff. So you seem to be sitting in a pretty nice office now. So it's probably a distant memory from the old days of getting door slammed in your face and all that. So you've started off in the trenches and you've worked your way up. So that's probably really good from an experience point of view when you're dealing with other people who are in the trenches now. So that's probably been a great grounding. You've had the investing background, so you understand what it's all about. And now you've come across into something that has been around for a while, but it's seeming to have a bit more of a resurgence now again in the marketplace, which is direct mail. Now, with REI Printmail, can you sort of give us an overview of what the business is and what it does, and basically explain to people, in a broader range, why it's different maybe to something else, or maybe from doing your own direct mail. And all of that sort of stuff. If you could just give us a bit of an overview.
Yeah, so I guess the easiest way to put it, because there's so much I had to learn going into this, and there's so much that we do, not just printing and just sending. There's a lot more to it. So I guess my typical day is we have 10, 15 folks that we'll be in front of working with. They're new investors, folks who literally just are getting started. They need their first deal. And then also folks that are doing anywhere from 10, 15, 20 deals a month. And so my job is to take the information that we collect, kind of like the intel we collect from investors all over the country, and show you when you get started in your market exactly which pieces are working the best, and then the probable amounts you need to send to actually close a deal. So for example, in California, it's a little bit of a higher end, kind of more competitive market. If you tried sending 500 mailers there, you probably wouldn't get more than, at a 1% response rate at the best, you probably get a few phone calls, right? So you wouldn't have very good shot at closing a deal off that. We find it takes about 20 to 25 leads to close one deal. And so based off what's working, the response rates, you need to know how many to send and then how to get that response rate with the right piece. And so we take care of all that for you, right? That's a huge headache. There's hundreds of different options you could be sending. And so to know the top two or three and then just be able to go with it, get phone calls and close deals, it'll save you a ton of time and a ton of money. So
Yeah, that's a really good point. That most people haven't got that analytic background, and they
right.
probably wouldn't know where to start, would they? So you guys take care of that. You look at all the data, and you say, well, you're getting a certain percentage, strike rate with this. You're lower here. We'll try this piece. So you guys are right into the analytics. That's what you do on top of probably if someone did it themselves and just, I guess, sprayed and prayed and just hope for the best.
Exactly, yeah. And not only that too, so we send the mail out and then we have clients that give us calls back and they're like, well, I'm getting this objection. How do I handle this? So we'll walk them through maybe some one-on-one, like kind of like role playing, show them what to say, how to approach this kind of conversation. Because a lot of clients too are not just investors. We have agents that are getting into investing. And so they're not really used to some of the verbiage and some of the kind of kickback and the calls that you would get versus just someone wanting to list their property. They can be a little bit more pissed off that day. They can be more excited. I mean, who knows? But you're trying to solve a problem at the end of the day, and then we're trying to help you get deals. So that's pretty much the bottom line. Yeah.
And where do you find, like you mentioned California and probably New York and those hotter markets are probably harder and probably get, less of a strike rate, I guess. Where do you find the highest return, the highest percentages? What is it, the Midwest, or are there certain states that seem to perform better than other states?
There are. It's kind of relative though. So like I'd say if you are in California but you don't have a major budget and you're open to virtual wholesaling, Arkansas is a great market right now, kind of like up in the northwest section of it. And then Little Rock's great. You also have Georgia, Alabama are good markets too. And then Louisiana. I'd say those four, you're going to get higher response rates. You can send a lot less mail. You can text more. You can call and get a lot more feedback and like you said, like strike rate or hit rate.
Yeah.
But it's also kind of relative too, because the spreads on the deals are usually a little bit smaller. So you may be more consistent, but average deal may go for probably 8 to 9K in Arkansas. But I mean, I've got guys doing anywhere from 40, 50K per deal in California. So it's quite relative.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And do you have, like, when you sit down with someone and you create a campaign, and obviously you guys have got all the data, you're the experts, and you work in with what the investor is looking to achieve. Do you have like a plan A, a plan B, a plan C when you go into it? You just say, look, we'll do this first and then we'll adjust from there. How does that look?
Yeah, so it's really based on budget is where we start, right? We're going to show you what we would recommend to start with if your goal was to get at least one deal. But if that cost on average $1,200 in your market and your budget's between $500 and $600, either A, we're going to walk through some options that you can do that are more cost effective, maybe outside of mail. Maybe it's just pulling a list, skip tracing, driving for dollars, cold calling, texting, kind of that approach first. Help you get the first deal and then come back and kind of automate the mailings. But also too, there's different things we can work around. So obviously letters are more expensive than postcards, right? They're almost double the price in some cases. And you can also chop lists into sections. So like if it takes typically 2,500 people to get in front of to close one deal in your market at a 1% response rate, that give you 25 inbound leads to close one deal. Maybe we don't hit the whole thing in month one. Maybe we chop it into 2 or 3 sections, go over 2 or 3 months, and then you can still pay your bills, still make the payments, send the mail, get the calls, and close your deal within maybe 2 or 3 months while you're working your job and you're not having to cold call, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
work
and
with you.
I guess also too, this is where you really have to hone in your list, wouldn't it? I mean, you'd probably like you
Mhm.
said, if you've got 1,000, properties on a list, and your budget only allows you to do 500, you'd want to get the best 500. You'd have to really hone down on what would be, the best tighten up the criteria, I guess. So that's something you guys would probably know how to do as
Yeah.
well, I guess. Yeah. So you could help people say, look, these 500 are probably the first you target, and then go from
Mhm.
there. I mean, I'm just using rough numbers, but yeah, you wouldn't want to have a loose list, would you, that you're just sending
No.
stuff to for no reason, direct mail
Yes.
letters to for no reason.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, for example, there's vacant and then there's absentee vacant. Absentee vacants have a registered mailing address or a forwarding address almost in all cases. Vacants don't always have that. Even if you run it through NCOA, you may still get some kickbacks. So, if you're sending, 500 pieces, you don't want to get 10 or 15% return mailers on those. You want to get as many out as possible.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that is a good point. Yeah, absolutely. But usually too, I'll also say if we're going for 500, we usually make folks drive for dollars, teach them, make sure they're in it. That kind of proves that they want to be in this industry and make it happen. And that list seems to be much better than almost anything you can pull driving for dollars.
Yeah, and I guess also you would encourage people to still do a couple of other marketing, like you said, drive for dollars, or if they have come to you and they've had a little bit of success with text blasting, you say, look, you can do the wider list with that, but you really need to hone in with your direct mail on a certain thing. So do you encourage that as well for people to continue doing stuff,
Oh
that
yeah.
work from, and then you use the direct mail for a real targeted approach, um, for certain,
Hmm.
even niches, or I mean, hypothetically, if someone was going to target foreclosure, they want to send a specific letter, you would say, all right, we'll target that, because that's probably needs a letter rather than a text message. It's probably won't work. It's
Yeah.
inappropriate. So
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it'd probably be more appropriate to send a formal letter for something like that. Same with probate too, right? Someone's passed away, and you don't want to be texting them and blowing their phone up about it. So there's a use case for kind of all these things. Um, yeah, so we're for all forms of marketing, especially when you're getting started, right? There, to be cost effective, mail is not the cheapest thing, so you need to make sure you're going into this with a plan in place, and not just again spray and praying and trying to throw whatever your budget allows to it. Yeah.
and Nick, like your role within the business, how do you interact with your clients? Is there much contact? Do you work really closely? Do you get a number of clients that you've got to work with? How does that all work from a personal level with you,
Yeah. So
with your contact?
yeah, every client that I bring on or work with, I've stayed with them. They don't work with anyone else here. And so typically it's building the campaign, it's launching the campaign, you and me kind of talking about what your responses are, and how the calls are going. And at the end of each month or quarter, we review the campaign, response rates, how many deals did you close, and really just to make sure we got everything dialed in before we do anything next. And just keep your response rate up, keep growing your campaign and getting you deals. So
Yeah,
always one-on-one. I got most of my clients' cell phone numbers, which on some days it's not the greatest with 4 kids, right? I get hit up all weekend, but no, I love it. I mean, they'll tell me they just closed a deal for 10 or 15K, and that's what I'm doing this for. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That's part of it. And like you said, do you find that a lot of people really lean on you for that support? Like, if they're new, say, to direct mail, do they lean on you and sort of pick your brain, I guess? If they're new to it, do they sort of say to you, well, how does this work? What response rates
Mhm.
should I be getting in this market? Do they actually come to you for a bit of that support?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the first conversation we have is just talking about what folks do and their market, and, how long they've been in the game, what are you currently working on? And we're going to go over your entire market and show you exactly what's working, what's not. So that usually brings up a lot of questions. And the questions don't usually end. It's, I'm looking to get into this market too, or try this. Who would you recommend? Have you done this before? And so, yeah, it's constant, the back and forth, recommendations, advice. That's what we're all about. And it's absolutely free too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's, like you said, part of the deal. You probably get a lot of text messages when you're with the kids on the weekend, people freaking out,
Yeah.
wanting to know what's going on. So I think that's part of the game too. So, yeah, I mean, I could see that happening as well. Now, could you give us sort of paint a picture for us and just explain to us, if I was to come to you and we were going to set up a direct mail, my first direct mail outreach, what usually would we discuss initially? What would it be? It'd be firstly the market, and then would it be what I'm trying to achieve? Is it what I'm trying to target and what I'm trying to achieve? So would it be, like you said, would it be probates? Would it be? How does that look? How do you sort of get a client who's a bit all over the place and then comes to you and you straighten them up and help them work out a plan?
Right. So it's exactly that. It's, how long you been in the game for, how long you been doing this, right? If you tell me 3 months, then I'll kind of know the plan you need to start with. If you've been doing it for 5+ years or a couple of years and you're getting 1 or 2 deals a month, or it's just kind of rocky and you're doing one every other 2 or 3 months, I got a good idea of where you need to start at. And so then we're going to go into your market, right? And we're going to see exactly which pieces are doing the best. And so, for instance, you tell me that you're here in St. Louis. I'm going to tell you that average investors closing a deal within every 2,000 or 2,500 mailers sent out. That's based on a little bit more than a 1% response rate. And so if the goal is to get at least one deal a month, you need to send that quantity on a monthly basis. And you can do it for 3 or 6 months, or you can just start with month one, review, let you see that it's working and you're closing deals, kind of roll some money over and do it again. Or we can automate the whole thing. But I would walk you through all of the mailer options you could be sending, show you, because a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I've sent that before, or this or that, and not really too afraid to tell you that that's not working too well in your market anymore. And so, yeah, we're going to show you exactly what's working, build the campaign, and go over pricing with you, right? If it makes sense, great. If not, let's check out some other options that would work for you, and go from there. I mean, we send you scripts per mail piece, like certain things you want to say for the mailer when you get them on the phone. Certain mail types will bring up certain objections, so I'm going to give you that information too. And me and you get on together and build a list once we've identified, what it takes. So we build the list together on PropStream, ListSource, AccuData, Atom Data. I mean, all the big companies out there. And then we launch our campaign, and that's it. I'm gonna hit you up in about, I'd say, 2 to 3 weeks when the mail drops, and I'm gonna hit you up in about 30, 40 days from now and review how calls are going and just making sure you're picking up your phone. So I kind of keep people accountable too. If I feel like they're a little bit newer, making sure you're picking up the phone calls, you're, going through the steps properly with them. And that's it. I mean, I don't know what, if I could do anything else for folks, I would probably be doing it. I mean, I'll say that.
Yeah, no, that explains it really well. That you explain that, pretty much the whole wave and the list pool, everything. You're there with them, working with them. So no, I get that. I mean, this would be the big question, which you probably won't answer, but have you got any killer pieces that just knock it out the park? Is there any particular mail pieces or that actually work better than others? Have you got?
Yeah, I was actually prepared for that question. Yeah.
Version.
so, and this is changing like throughout the year. So certain mailers will kill it last year, and then maybe 6 months down the road, they just fall off a cliff, right? Everyone's sending it. So if I had to put my name on one piece that you could send anywhere in the country and you wouldn't have to do an analysis with me, it would probably be a direct offer fake check mailer. So it looks like this.
Yep.
You can see that.
Yep.
Yeah. So we actually take the average, and it folds out into a letter, right? It says all your services on here. when
That's
you
pretty
pop it
cool.
open. But we
I like
take
that.
the retail value of the property, and then we apply right now in this market about 80% to it.
Yep.
Post this amount here, and then when they get this, they see that there's a check inside. They can get 80% for their property. They give you a call, and then we tell you what to say to them, and then you move them forward. That works really well. I mean, anywhere we're sending it, we're killing it. I had a new guy up in New York, which is of all places pretty heavy. Send out 1,500. He got a little over 30 leads in the first week, and closed one deal, got 2 more under contract, and he's like, I'm pretty sure I can do these other 10 too. So, and we've been hearing that literally all over the country with that piece.
Nice.
So that'd be the one.
That's all you want to hear. You want to get feedback for results. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't like going to the letterbox and getting a check rather than a bill? I mean, even if your eyes focus and it's a bit of a, it's sort of a, it's a different mindset, isn't it, than getting a sales card or something like that. So that's a great one. And I've heard of ones, with offers, it's basically an offer. We would offer you this much. And so that's I guess a similar type technique.
Soft offer. Yeah.
Yeah. Soft offer type of thing. And then go from there, because it's about getting, and one of the important things that you just mentioned before was people spend a lot of money on direct mail. And one of the things I hear is that then they don't pick up the phone. They let it go to voicemail. Is that when you sort of, like you said, you keep people accountable? Do you say, no, you have to, as soon as someone rings in, you need to get the call, you need to get straight back to them? Is that pretty important with direct mail?
It's very important. So because we do not put the your websites typically or emails on mail pieces. They'll go to spam, and you'll probably let a day or 2 or 3 go by and forget about them or not see them. Also, too, with websites, folks don't typically type in the URL up top, so they'll go to Google, and then whoever's paying for paid search comes up first. And you have, for those keywords, right, you got big companies in real estate that pay for this stuff. And if your name includes it, they're going to go to the top 10 people that come up before your website, and then you just lost that lead. So really the only way they're coming in is to your phone. We recommend having a tracking phone number, right? So you can see when it's coming to that number, and then you know that this is from direct mail. We also have another technology that helps with this issue that we created. Let me see real quick if I have an example. But I have one here. I'll find one, but it's called reverse texting, right? So it has the option to text in for a fair cash offer. So instead of maybe it's an older folks, right? I used to hit them all the time with extended warranties. They're kind of fed up with people cold calling them all the time. So if they can text in to get the answer they want, they might be more inclined to do it. So they receive a pre-written message on their phone saying, thanks for reaching out. We'll be following up with you shortly. Feel free to text or call us if you'd like. And then you get an email sent to you with their lead information. So their first name, last name, property address, mailing address, phone number, and then they're waiting for you to call them. And so that helps a ton for not letting leads slip through the cracks, right? If you can't always be there, you're new, you've got a job to work, and half your leads will come in via email waiting for you to call them. Half will hit you on the phone.
Yeah, so that's good as well, because you're getting notified as well. So that's handy as well. It's all automated to you. So yeah, that sounds really cool. And do you have like, for instance, with that mail piece, do you have a follow up? Do you then go to like a postcard after that, or 3 postcards? Is there a system that you follow, or it just depends on the on what you're actually, like you said, like if it's a foreclosure or if it's an absentee, or it all varies, does it?
It does vary, but we can set the the different varieties of mailings like in advance. Usually when you pull a list and you want to mail to it, that list you're only paying for, or you're pulling the first month, you're going to mail to that list for 2, 3, usually 3 months, as much as 6 months. But let's say 3, right? So the first and the third drop, we're going to send something we know is working really well. And the second drop, we're going to send something we believe is kind of newer to the market in that area that's picking up. And sometimes we just use this for a test piece, right? Control, test, control. And that way you can see the difference in phone calls from month 2 versus 1 and 3. And if you did notice an increase in response, we might switch that up to the control piece for your next campaign. And that's how we can kind of test not too many things at one time, but just enough to be able to keep growing your response rate and go from there. Yeah.
Do
So
you
usually you do 2 different pieces.
do you find with a follow up that there's a bit of success with continuing to follow up with another mail piece a couple of times? Is that, do a lot of people get deals in that second, third, fourth mail
Oh
piece?
yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
a high percentage? Have you tracked that?
Yeah, so it's an average, right? Over the if I tell you it's 1% average in your market, I would say that average stands true over 3 mailings. So it might be zero point 0.9 the first one, 1.5 the second, and zero point 0.7 the third, right? You just never know. And then even depending on the calls, you never know who you're going to talk to that's going to be that deal. So it might be your second or third month. And that happens a lot. So that's why we say don't just go in with it for 1 month. Make sure you can do this for at least 3 before considering it. Because if you don't close it in the first month, then what are you going to do now, right? So yeah, you got to stick to it, be consistent with it for sure.
Have you got a statistic percentage on the abuse rate? Because I know with cold calling and text messaging, you cop a fair bit of abuse. Is it less with direct mail? Do people tend to, if they're not interested, to throw it in, or do you know what's
Yeah.
the feedback you
Oh,
get from
abuse
that?
rate. So
Yeah,
like pissed
people
off people?
cussing you out and all the rest of it. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Um, so that depends on the demographic for one, and the piece you send. So if I send you a fake check and you're in New York, it's probably going to piss like that type of person off. And so you have to be anticipating those calls. But so not that we do it on purpose to evoke a response rate, but I'd say it's fairly low. It really depends on the demographic. Like we have handwritten postcards we send that look very real. And even if they don't want to sell for some reason, you'll get compliments on it. They're like, I just wanted to give you a call because you wrote me such a nice note. I'm not selling my home, but I just wanted to let you know. And yeah, so I mean, I don't get very many complaints on that. Like there, maybe once a month, not that
yeah,
often. Yeah.
yeah. You'd say to be
Or maybe
less.
they're not telling me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, right. But
Yeah.
it'd probably be less, I'd say, because the
Yeah.
volume's probably a bit less as well. And I guess during the COVID period, people were home and they were getting hit so many phone calls and so many text messages a
Hmm.
day. And like I said, it seems to be a bit of a reemergence of the direct mail. It seemed to sort of be, oh, that's old school now, but it sounds like it's coming back a lot more. A lot more people are starting to use it now that you talk to in the industry, and you're sort of in the inner sanctum, so you'd see the results of the direct mail. So do you see a bit of a trend there that people are starting to go back to it a bit more? That maybe they're feeling other avenues are a little bit saturated.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and this really hit last year when quite a bit of regulations came in with just phone use in general. Network providers not, pushing through information if it's too much. I don't know I focus on mail, right? But I love cold calling and I love texting. We just try to make sure folks are doing it in a way that's not going to get them in trouble and incorporate it. But mail has been here for how many years? Like hundreds of years almost now,
Yeah,
and pretty tried and true. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. And then it's completely legal. So with the model we've set up, if we can create you a predictable lead flow and you have a predictable business model, it's for then scalable for you as well. So yeah, we grew about 56% last year during this crazy time in the world, right? And a lot of mail houses going out of business, just sending mail and doing this and that. So the approach is definitely working.
yeah,
And yeah, so I think it has kind of made a resurgence, but we've been growing every single year since doing this the last, I'd say 5 years with
yeah,
the direct marketing coach standpoint for it. So yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
What's the biggest problem someone faces? Is it with getting into direct mail? Is it budget? Is it usually budget? Is that the main objection you get, or is it other things that an investor that wants to get it, that hasn't done direct mail, that wants to get in direct mail? What's the biggest problem that you sort of face with it? Is it other items, or is it mainly budget, that they haven't got enough money to do a long term?
Yeah. No, we can work around budget pretty well. And if not, I mean, I don't see that would be an objection, because either way, I'm just looking at helping them out, right? So if we're not sending a direct mail for you and you can't get in because the price maybe is $1,000 to start a quality campaign in your market, I'm going to show you how to write letters, type them out, and put them on doors when you go driving for dollars. So you're still doing a form of direct mailing. It's just maybe you're using crayons on a Post-it note. Like, that actually works. And so, but with our services, yeah, it's going to be typically that you can't get in front of a large enough list for your market. You just so happen to be in one of the heaviest markets and your budget's $500, like California. I just wouldn't want to take your money and send mail for you in that kind of market. But I'd be happy to show you how you can do it, 3 or 4 different other ways to get the first deal, come back, and then let's launch a campaign. Absolutely.
And do you guys have like a starter kit, sort of different stages of, like, if someone comes to you fresh, you've got a starter kit, or do you have, if someone's been with you a while, there's other programs? Do you have sort of programs or different levels that people can reach out and talk to you about?
We don't actually. It's all one-on-one and just really dissecting your market and seeing what is and what's not going to work. Because a static package for every state nationwide, when every state's different, demographics, response rates, everything, it would do I think a disservice to most people that would try that.
So that's where we're talking earlier about your model, that you're in the trenches with people, you help them work through even list, that you find that's a better service to the person.
Oh, absolutely.
To be like that, rather than just have A, B, or C, pick one and that's it. So
yeah, because I mean, I don't want to sell you this month and never talk to you again, right? I mean, I sell mail, but I want to help people get deals because I want you to keep coming back.
Yeah.
Right. So if I sell you a package and I don't even think it's really a good fit for your market, just because it's easier for us to do it that way, you'll probably tell your friends not to use us. You'll probably not come back and use us. And then we're just like a lot of folks out there. Yeah. We don't want that. Yeah.
This is a question I've sort of always wondered. It may be a silly question, but I'll ask it. You're doing it out of state. You're doing it from a distance. And someone's not there. Where does the mail go once it gets there and it's this return to sender, or how does that all work? Where do you just have to have an address on it that it can be returned to? Is that how that works? Just like normal mail?
Oh yeah. So you as an investor would have a return address on all your mail pieces, usually a PO box set up.
Yep.
If the home is vacant and it gets returned to sender, that goes back to USPS, and then they're either going to send it back to you, right, or they're going to hold it in some sort of a mailing account that you have set up with them, and then you can digitally view what's been returned to you. Yeah, that's it. It's always coming back to you though, some way, somehow.
Because that'd be part of your tracking, wouldn't it, to see who, like if someone isn't there and it's returned to sender, well, then you'd have to go, I guess, to a plan B of how to contact that person.
Exactly. So that's actually a good point. If I could hit on that, we recommend sending, if you want to stay up to a date with return mailers and who's not receiving them, national average is about 5% due to or from USPS standards. So we can recommend sending a smaller postcard. It's cheaper to kind of get those out of the way the first mailing. Still something that's working, you'll get calls from. But we can put a QR code on these mail pieces. You can scan them with your phone as they come in. It throws it into a CSV file, like an Excel spreadsheet. And then you can forward that to me. We remove it from the list. And then I do recommend having those skip traced and then contacting them that way. That way you're still getting in front of them. And even if the mail's not.
Yeah. And they could be actually really valuable leads, couldn't they? Because they're harder to find, which there's less
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
chasing them. So
If you
yeah,
can hit them.
I
Yeah.
guess in that sense that wasn't a silly question, because that you need to know that, and that's a great that is, you've set up a great model there. Don't send the best, most expensive piece first, because it may not get there. So you send something, probably like a cheaper one first. Find out who's
Hmm.
there, find out who's not around, and then send the next mail piece. So that's actually quite clever that you've
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously you've done a bit of trial and error with that. So that's really clever. So, all right, wasn't a stupid question. That's good, because I'm sort of thinking, well, you know, it's, Captain Obvious. There's probably an easy answer for this, but that's great. And then there is a system to find out, and you can strike those off the list with, like you said, a
Hmm.
QR code or a scanner or something. So that makes a lot of sense. Now, Nick, I just for people that want to reach out to you and connect with you, I've got on the graphics there, in the white section, which you've said is your calendar link. People can actually book a call with you if they want to talk to you about these services. It's nick.reiprintmail.com, and they can hit your calendar link and book, I don't know, is a 15-minute call, a half an hour call or something like that, and just get some information, find out how all this works.
Yeah. So 15, 30 in 1 hour.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So you've chucked that up on the screen. You also got REI printmail.com, which is the website, so people can go and check that out and have a look at what it's all about. And I've got your Facebook thing there, just in case people want to friend you and send you a message or something on Messenger. So they're the contact points. And I mean, we've touched on, we've sort of done a bit of an overview. So it'd be better for people probably to reach out to you personally and talk to you personally
Hmm.
about the ins and outs of everything. So, no, that's great. I mean, I've like I've said, I've continually had lead generation people on in the last couple of weeks, because it's just a huge topic, and being such a hot market, you'd probably realise yourself, like you said, you've got to get a little bit of a competitive edge, and if,
Yeah.
like you said, some people might just use direct mail to complement what they're doing and to target specialty lists, and some people might blanket and do it across the board. So, like we've mentioned, there's been a bit of a resurgence of direct mail now. So if you want to get into
Yeah.
it and you want to get with a company where they give you personalised service, like Nick's just said, all the way through, keep you accountable so that you get results, reach out to Nick at REI Printmail and book in a call with him. Just it's obligation free, so he'll just have a chat with you and just tell you a bit more about it, and go and check the website out and see if it's something that can really benefit your business, because like we've just said, lead gen is very important. I mean, you're right in the midst of it, aren't you, Nick? That's what you do.
Yeah. It's the lifeblood for your business, pretty much, in this
Yeah,
industry.
yeah, that's
Right.
right.
So,
So, so appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate the information, and that just gives people a bit of an overview of what it's about, especially people that haven't been into it. Some people might have put it on the back burner, you know, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, and things would have changed a bit, wouldn't they, in the last 5 years in direct mail? It would have, like you said, there would have been trends that come and go, and
oh,
obviously,
yeah.
the
Yeah.
old picture of their house and all that. That one sort of got worn out for a while, and you've got some new ones now. So it paid to probably reconnect with someone like Nick, just to get on the same page with what's current in 2022.
Yeah. Just a free market analysis. We just show you what's working, what's not, and then go from there. So, yeah. And on that topic too, man, I mean, just real quick, like this thing we haven't sent this for probably since 2020, when here in America, right, they were doing the stimulus checks, and some guy had the good idea to send this when they were doing that, and he killed it, man. He was getting like 7-8% response rate. So just little things like that we catch, and we can carry on to new investors and clients. Pretty
And
cool.
they change each year, wouldn't they?
Oh
You,
yeah,
you'd,
absolutely. Yeah.
you'd have popular mail pieces for a year or so, and then someone goes, "Oh, light bulb, we'll try this," and it works. So I guess you guys are probably on the cutting edge, because you're in the industry, so you guys would know what's working. So that's another
Yeah.
reason probably to reach out to someone and outsource that rather than trying to do it all yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you just need to know where to start in mailing and what's working, what's not in your market, again, it's hard to find that information online yourself. I'm going to go in and pull that information from current investors in your market and then show you exactly what they're doing and help you get started best way I can.
Awesome. All right, no worries. Well, thanks, Nick. We'll say goodbye. Thank you for all that information. And anyone that wants to get some further information, go to nick.reiprintmail.com, book a call with him, and he's a great guy. He'll have a chat with you and point you in the right direction. So we'll say bye. Thanks, Nick, and good luck with it in 2022, and good luck with the family, with the new addition to the family, the fourth child.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate being on the video, and I look forward to being back and forth with you more
Yeah, no,
often.
definitely.
So
We'll try and get you back down on a Thursday down the track so you can just do some screen share and deep dive a bit more into the product. But it was just
cool.
wanted to get you on, just like I said, as a part of the lead gen and a different perspective from a lot of the other stuff that's going on out there. So
Yeah.
appreciate it, and take it easy and go and enjoy the weekend with the kids.
All right. Thank you.
All right, no worries.
Take
We'll
care.
say goodbye.